All right, today what we're going to do is we are actually going to start chapter 8, which is all about geometry. In this section, we're going to talk about angles, lines, and their relationships, as well as area and perimeter of different polygons and circles. All right, so today what we're going to do is we are actually going to talk about pairs of angles. Pairs of angles are basically when we're talking about two different angles, and a lot of times those relationships between those two angles have specific names. So the first one is complementary. When you have two angles that make up, that when you add them together make 90 degrees. So let's say I have this angle and I have another angle. I have this angle. And these two angles, when I add them together, equal 90 degrees. All right? We also have supplementary angles. Supplementary angles are two angles that make a 180 degrees. So if I have 180 degrees, I have an angle here and an angle here that when I add up their amounts, let's say this is 100 degrees, then this has to be 80 degrees if these are in fact supplementary angles. All right, pretty easy. All right, the next one we have are adjacent angles. Adjacent angles are basically angles that are right next to each other and they share a vertex and a side. So for example, we have a picture drawn right here. So they share a vertex, which is that right there, and they share a side right here. Basically, they're just angles that are next to each other, but don't overlap. All right. The next one we have is a linear pair. A linear pair is when the angles are both adjacent and they're supplementary. So they together create a line or a 180 degrees or a supplementary pair. Okay. All right. The last vocabulary word we have are vertical angles. Vertical angles are the two pairs, their sides form two pairs of opposite rays. So basically here, my vertical angles would be these blue, the ones that are shaded blue. So this angle right here and this angle right here. All right, those would be a pair of vertical angles. This angle right here and this angle right here would also be considered vertical angles. All right. Now, the one thing to know about vertical angles is vertical angles are always, always, always going to be congruent. All right, so they're always going to be congruent to each other. So add that to your definition of vertical angles is that they are also congruent. So if this right here is 30 degrees, then the other red one has to be 30 degrees. All right. Now, using this information, we can actually use all of these vocabulary words to solve various geometry problems. And we're actually going to do one example right now. This one has to do with complements and supplements. So complementary angles and supplementary angles. So it says, the question says, given that angle 1 is a complement of angle 2 and the measurement of angle 2 is 57 degrees, find the measurement of angle 1. Well, we just learned that a complement means that these two angles equal 90 degrees. Well, I know that the measurement of angle 2 is 57 degrees, but I do not know the measurement of angle 1, or x. Okay, so from there, I can just subtract 90 and 57 to find my missing angle. So I can say, all right, I'm going to subtract 33 degrees. So the measurement of angle 1 is 33 degrees. All right, makes sense? All right, so if you guys have any other questions about these problems or any of the vocabulary words that I gave to you today, I know I gave you a lot of them. Some of them may have been familiar to you and some may be new. Um, the only other set of the only other set of angles that you might need to know is what perpendicular lines are. Just know perpendicular lines are lines that create 90-degree angles. So that's pretty easy. Okay, sorry to add that on at the end, but I just remember that you needed to know that too. All right, so please let me know if you have any other questions or concerns. Bring them tomorrow to class. Otherwise, that's all I have for you. Thanks, guys.